There is a place on Earth that feeds more people every single day than most countries can count in a year. A place where time moves faster, decisions are automatic, and childhood tastes never die. It does not control armies, it controls appetite, and it changed the way the world eats, forever. But here's the question no one asks. How did a small roadside burger stand become a global empire in over 100 countries, serving nearly 70 million people a day? Was it the food, the marketing, the clown, or was it something deeper, something psychological, something engineered? Because McDonald's did not just sell burgers. It sold speed. It sold predictability. It sold comfort in a chaotic world. And comfort is the most addictive product of all. This is not a story about fast food. It is a story about standardization, about ambition, about obsession with systems, and about one man who saw something in a small kitchen that the world did not. This is the story of how McDonald's became the architecture of modern consumption. Before the golden arches, before the drive-thru, before the Happy Meal, there were two brothers, Richard and Maurice McDonald. They were not visionaries. They were not charismatic. They were not building a global brand. They simply wanted efficiency. In 1940s California, their small restaurant struggled like many others. Car hops, long menus, slow service. Customers waited. Costs rose. Margins shrank. So the brothers did something radical. They deleted. They cut the menu. They removed chairs. They eliminated complexity. They redesigned the kitchen like a factory floor. Each worker had one task, one motion, one responsibility. No confusion, no creativity, just repetition. They called it the speedy service system. And without knowing it, they had just invented the blueprint for the modern fast food industry. But here's the twist. The brothers were satisfied. They were comfortable. They did not want the world. They only wanted a well-running machine. And that is when everything changed. In 1954, a struggling milkshake machine salesman named Ray Kroc drove to San Bernardino to see why one small burger stand had ordered 8 multi-mixers at once, 8 machines for milkshakes. Kroc was curious. What he saw was not just a restaurant, it was choreography, burgers sliding down metal lines, fries dropping in precise timing, workers moving like synchronized gears. Customers received their food in seconds. Not minutes, seconds. Kroc stood there and he did not see burgers. He saw scale, he saw repetition, he saw a system that could be cloned across America. While the brothers saw a kitchen, Ray Kroc saw a nation. And here is where psychology enters the story. Most people look at something successful and ask, how does this work? Ray Kroc asked, how many times can this work? That single question built an empire. The brothers wanted control. Ray wanted expansion. They feared losing quality. He feared losing time. To them, growth meant risk. To him, delay meant death. Because Ray Kroc understood something about America in the 1950s. Highways were expanding. Suburbs were growing. Families were mobile. Speed was no longer luxury, it was necessity. He convinced the brothers to franchise the concept, but what they did not understand was that Ray Kroc was not in the burger business. He was in the real estate business. While franchise owners focused on selling food, Kroc focused on owning land. Every McDonald's location sat on property controlled by the corporation. The burgers built the brand, the land built the fortune, and this subtle shift turned a restaurant chain into a financial machine. But ambition has a cost. The partnership between the brothers and Ray began to fracture. Trust eroded, agreements blurred, promises shifted, And eventually, Ray Kroc made a decision that would change the fate of McDonald's forever. A decision that would remove the founders from their own creation. A decision that raises a disturbing question. Was McDonald's built on efficiency or betrayal? We step into the moment where vision turned into takeover, and the golden arches became something much bigger than a burger stand. Ray Kroc did not raise his voice. He did not threaten. He did something far more dangerous. He waited. The McDonald brothers were operators. Ray was a strategist. They cared about consistency. He cared about control. The contract between them was fragile, built on trust, handshakes, and optimism. But Ray understood something the brothers did not. When you control expansion, you control destiny. Franchise by franchise, he built loyalty, not to the brothers, but to himself. Operators admired his ambition. Banks admired his persistence. Investors admired his hunger. And hunger is contagious. Eventually, the tension became unbearable. The brothers wanted limits. Ray wanted infinity. So he made an offer, $2.7 million, a number large enough to sound generous, small enough to be strategic. The brothers accepted. They believed they were selling a business. Ray knew he was buying a future. And with one signature, McDonald's no longer belonged to the McDonald's. It belonged to Ray Kroc. But ownership was only the beginning. Because now, he could move without permission. Expansion was no longer cautious. It was aggressive. Ray standardized everything. The bun thickness, the pickle placement, the fry length, the cooking time, down to the second. You could close your eyes in Chicago, open them in Arizona, and taste the exact same burger. Predictability became power. Families trusted it. Children memorized it. Travelers relied on it. McDonald's was no longer a restaurant. It was a guarantee. And in a world becoming faster and more uncertain, guarantees were priceless. But here's what most people miss. The real innovation was not the burger. It was the system. Franchise owners did not simply buy a name. They bought obedience to a blueprint. Follow the manual. Follow the measurements. Follow the method. No creativity. No deviation. Uniformity over individuality. It felt safe, but it also meant something else. It meant McDonald's could scale without losing its identity. And scale is where empires are born. Then came the move that separated McDonald's from every other restaurant chain. Ray Kroc formed a company that would purchase the land under every new McDonald's. Franchisees paid rent to the corporation, which meant even if a store struggled, the land still appreciated. McDonald's was no longer selling burgers. It was selling access to prime locations. The food generated traffic. The land generated wealth. This dual-engine model made McDonald's nearly untouchable, because while competitors fought over menu items, McDonald's accumulated property, and property outlives appetite. Most customers never knew this. They saw fries. Ray saw leverage. They tasted salt. He tasted control. But there was another layer, one that reshaped human behavior. McDonald's optimized for speed not just to serve food faster, but to reduce thinking time, limited menu, bright colors, clear ordering path, no decision fatigue. Walk in, choose quickly, pay, leave. The environment was engineered to minimize hesitation, and when humans hesitate less, they consume more. This was not accidental. It was design. McDonald's studied flow patterns, cue psychology, even scent placement. The smell of fries was not random. It was positioning. They weren't just feeding hunger. They were engineering habit. And habit is stronger than preference. By the late 1960s, the golden arches were everywhere. Highways, suburbs, shopping centers. The logo became a landmark. Parents saw convenience, children saw joy, investors saw dominance. McDonald's became embedded in American identity. It was clean, it was fast, it was optimistic. It symbolized modern life. But expansion has a shadow, and as McDonald's prepared to cross international borders, a new challenge emerged. Because what works in America does not always work everywhere. McDonald's leaves home and faces the world. A world with different tastes, different cultures, different values. The question was no longer, can McDonald's grow? The question became, can it survive outside the system that built it? When McDonald's crossed the Atlantic, it was no longer just exporting burgers. It was exporting America. The optimism, the efficiency, the uniformity. In Canada, it was welcomed. In Europe, it was studied. In some places, it was resisted. Because food is not just fuel. Food is culture. And culture does not surrender easily. France had cafes. Italy had tradition. India had sacred cows. McDonald's had a system. So the company faced its first real philosophical test. Do you preserve identity, or do you adapt to survive? The answer would determine whether McDonald's remained a national chain or became a global empire. In India, there would be no beef. In Japan, teriyaki flavors appeared. In the Middle East, menus respected religious law. At first glance, this looked like flexibility. But look closer. The core system never changed. The kitchen layout, the timing precision, the franchise discipline, only the flavor shifted. The structure remained untouched. This was the genius. McDonald's learned how to localize taste without localizing power. The golden arches stayed identical. The experience stayed predictable. You could land in Tokyo at midnight and feel the same sense of familiarity as you would in Texas. And that feeling of global sameness became strangely comforting. McDonald's wasn't just a restaurant anymore. It was a psychological anchor in a rapidly globalizing world. But with dominance comes scrutiny. By the 1990s, critics began asking questions. Was fast food fueling obesity? Were portion sizes distorting perception? Was convenience eroding health? Documentaries appeared. Books were written. Protests formed. McDonald's became a symbol of corporate excess. Not just burgers, but industrialized consumption. For the first time, the brand was no longer purely positive. It was polarizing. And polarization is dangerous. Because when a brand becomes too large, it stops being a company. It becomes a target. Health advocates criticized ingredients. Activists questioned labor practices. Environmental groups challenged packaging waste. The golden arches, once symbols of progress, were now symbols of debate. And here is the psychological tension. When people feel guilty about something they love, they do not always abandon it. Sometimes they defend it. Despite criticism, customers kept coming. Why? Because McDonald's understood something deeper than taste. It understood routine. Children celebrated birthdays there. Teenagers met after school. Travelers stopped during long drives. The brand attached itself to memory, and memory is powerful. When you bite into a familiar burger, you are not just tasting salt and fat. You are tasting childhood. You are tasting nostalgia. McDonald's embedded itself into emotional milestones. That is not marketing. That is behavioral design. Remove friction, lower price barriers, increase accessibility. The more often a behavior repeats, the harder it is to erase. And by the early 2000s, McDonald's was not simply a place to eat. It was a ritual. Then something unexpected happened. Growth slowed. Competition intensified. Health consciousness increased. New brands offered organic options. Local chains promoted authenticity. For the first time in decades, McDonald's felt old. The company built on speed was suddenly facing a slower generation. Customers began asking for transparency, ingredients lists, sourcing ethics, corporate responsibility. The world was changing, and the system that once guaranteed dominance now faced evolution. Could McDonald's reinvent itself without losing its core? Because here is the paradox. McDonald's is everywhere, yet it must constantly adapt to survive. It mastered efficiency, it mastered scale, it mastered real estate. But can it master relevance in an age that questions everything? We step into the modern era, where technology, data, automation, and artificial intelligence enter the kitchen. The golden arches still stand, but the question is no longer how big McDonald's can grow. The question is, what does it become next? The world did not slow down. It accelerated. Smartphones replaced menus, apps replaced cashiers, algorithms replaced instinct, and McDonald's adapted. Self-order kiosks appeared. Mobile apps tracked preferences. Digital menus shifted pricing in real time. The restaurant that once optimized human movement began optimizing data. Every tap recorded, every purchase analyzed, every pattern studied. The system evolved again. Because speed was no longer physical, it was digital. Now, you don't even speak, you tap. And the machine remembers your favorite meal, your ordering time, your habits. McDonald's didn't just serve food anymore. It collected behavior. Behind the counter, automation expanded. Machines calibrated fry times. Sensors monitored temperature. Supply chains predicted demand. The margin for human error shrank. Consistency became algorithmic. And here's the deeper shift. In the beginning, McDonald's engineered human labor into a system. Now, it engineers machines to replace it. Efficiency always moves forward, but forward does not always mean humane. Critics question wages, robots reduce staff, corporate profits rise, yet customers still come, because convenience wins. And in modern society, convenience is often stronger than conscience. McDonald's is no longer simply a restaurant chain, it is infrastructure. Drive-thrus feed commuters. Delivery integrates with platforms. Highways depend on its presence. Airports, malls, train stations. The golden arches function like landmarks. In some cities, they are more recognizable than government buildings. That is not accidental. It is decades of positioning. A brand so embedded it feels inevitable. And when something feels inevitable, people stop questioning it. That may be McDonald's greatest achievement. Not popularity, not profit, but normalization. So what is McDonald's truly? A business success story? A masterclass in franchising? A case study in real estate leverage? Yes. But it is also something else. It is proof that systems scale faster than dreams. The McDonald brothers dreamed of efficiency. Ray Kroc dreamed of expansion. The corporation dreams of optimization. Each generation pushed further, and now McDonald's exists in over 100 countries, serving tens of millions daily. It feeds families, it fuels road trips, it anchors memories, yet it also shapes diet, influences agriculture, alters urban planning. Few companies affect daily life so quietly, so completely. And that raises a question we rarely ask. Did McDonald's simply respond to modern life, or did it design it? Every empire begins with a problem. The problem was slow service. The solution was speed. Speed became habit. Habit became scale. Scale became dominance. And dominance became invisible. We rarely notice the systems that shape us. We simply participate in them. The golden arches glow not because they shout, but because they are familiar, comfortable, predictable. In a chaotic world, predictability feels safe, and safety is powerful. McDonald's mastered repetition. But repetition changes the world. Because once humanity learns to expect speed, to expect sameness, to expect instant gratification, there is no going back. The empire of burgers was never about food. It was about control of time. And somewhere tonight, under glowing yellow arches, another child will take their first bite. Without realizing, they are stepping into a system designed long before they were born. And the next empire is already studying the blueprint.